Tonight, we'll trace the calming journey of coffee, from its humble origins to its global embrace. Let the rich aromas of history lull you into a peaceful slumber. Imagine, if you will, the highlands of Ethiopia centuries ago. Picture mist clinging to lush green slopes, the air alive with the chirping of unseen birds. Here, amongst the vibrant foliage, grew a small, unassuming shrub, its leaves dark and glossy. Legend whispers of a goat herd, Kaldi, who noticed his goats behaving rather unusually after nibbling on the berries of this peculiar plant. Their energy levels spiking, their movements more lively. Curious, Kaldi tried the berries himself, experiencing a similar uplifting effect. And so, perhaps unintentionally, the world was introduced to coffee. The story, of course, is likely a romanticized version of events. The precise origins are lost to time, buried under layers of oral tradition and evolving narratives. But the essence remains, a simple discovery with profound and far-reaching consequences. Slowly, the news of these energizing berries spread. From Ethiopia, the knowledge, and the beans themselves, traveled, carried by traders and pilgrims along ancient trade routes. They journeyed across the Red Sea to the Arabian Peninsula, where the unique properties of the coffee bean were further explored and refined. In Yemen, coffee cultivation flourished. It became a cherished drink, savored in monasteries and social gatherings alike. The process of roasting and brewing developed, adding layers of ritual and refinement to the simple act of consuming this invigorating brew. The rich aroma of roasted beans, the comforting warmth of the dark liquid, became associated with moments of quiet contemplation and peaceful conversation. Imagine the hushed tones of a Yemeni coffee house, the gentle clinking of small cups, the quiet hum of conversation weaving through the air. As centuries passed, coffee's journey continued. It spread across the Middle East, then to Europe, carried by travelers and traders, each adding their own unique touch to the tradition. Think of the bustling marketplaces of Constantinople, the elegant salons of 17th century Paris, the cozy coffee houses of London, each a testament to coffee's global appeal. It wasn't just a beverage, it was a social lubricant, a catalyst for conversation, a source of inspiration, and a comforting escape from the stresses of daily life. The coffee bean, once a humble plant in the Ethiopian highlands, had become a global commodity, shaping trade routes, influencing cultures, and fostering a sense of community across continents. Its calming ritual, its rich aroma, its comforting warmth, all contributed to its enduring popularity. And as we drift off to sleep tonight, perhaps we can appreciate the long and winding journey of this remarkable bean. A journey that spans centuries and continents. A journey that now, gently, carries us towards our dreams. Imagine the lush green hills of Ethiopia, a land kissed by the sun and caressed by the gentle breezes. Picture yourself there, perhaps centuries ago, amongst the rolling slopes and the vibrant tapestry of nature. The air is alive with the sounds of birdsong, a gentle hum that settles over the landscape like a warm blanket. Here, nestled amongst the rich earth, the story of coffee begins. Legend whispers of Kaldi, a humble goat herder, a man whose days were spent tending to his flock, his life as simple and peaceful as the rhythm of the hills themselves. His goats, creatures of playful energy, were his companions. One day, Kaldi noticed something unusual. His goats, usually calm and serene, were acting strangely, their movements unusually lively, their eyes bright with an almost unnatural energy. They were bouncing and frolicking, their playful antics a stark contrast to their usual placid nature. Intrigued, Kaldi followed them, his curiosity drawing him deeper into the verdant landscape. He watched as they grazed on a cluster of vibrant red berries, their leaves a deep, glossy green. He carefully approached, cautiously tasting one of the berries himself. And as the juice touched his tongue, a gentle warmth spread through him, a calming sensation that settled over his weary bones. The world seemed a little brighter, the sounds of the forest a little sweeter, his own worries a little less heavy. News of this peculiar berry and its strange invigorating effect spread slowly, like the ripples in a still pond. Word traveled from village to village, carried on the wind and shared in quiet conversations under the shade of ancient trees. The berries were carefully gathered, and their unique properties were explored. Slowly, a process developed. The berries were roasted and then ground, the resulting powder mixed with water, creating a dark, aromatic brew. This became a ritual, a comforting balm for the weary traveler, a source of warmth and companionship during long nights. The vibrant red berries that Kaldi's goats discovered were the humble coffee cherries. Imagine the rich, earthy aroma as they were roasted over an open fire, the scent drifting on the evening air, a fragrant promise of energy and warmth. Picture the steaming cups, shared amongst friends and family, the gentle clinking of pottery a comforting sound in the twilight hours. The coffee, a simple drink, became a connector, binding people together in shared moments of peace and companionship. It was a gift from the land, a quiet treasure discovered by chance and shared with the world. The Ethiopian highlands, a cradle of civilization, became the birthplace of a legacy that would spread across the globe, its story woven into the fabric of cultures and communities for centuries to come. And as the sun dips below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, you can almost feel the tranquility of those hills, the gentle scent of roasted beans hanging in the air, a timeless reminder of a simple discovery that changed the world. Imagine, if you will, the hushed stillness of a Sufi monastery nestled amongst rolling hills, perhaps in the heart of Anatolia centuries ago. The air is cool, carrying the scent of earth and distant wood smoke. Inside, the rhythmic chanting of prayers, soft and low, weaves a gentle tapestry of sound. Here, within these sacred walls, coffee played a unique and subtle role, far removed from the bustling coffee houses of the wider world. It wasn't a social drink, not here. It wasn't a commodity to be traded or a source of profit. In the quiet solitude of these monasteries, coffee became a tool for meditation, a gentle stimulant for contemplation, a companion on the long journey inwards. The monks, dedicated to a life of spiritual seeking, understood the delicate balance of the world. They knew the body's needs, the mind's cravings, and the soul's yearning. Coffee, carefully prepared, became a subtle aid in navigating this intricate landscape. It wasn't about the caffeine rush, the jolt of energy. Instead, it was about the gentle awakening of the senses, a preparation for the deeper work of prayer and reflection. Picture a single cup, dark and rich, steaming gently in the cool air, its aroma subtly filling the quiet room. The warmth spreading through the hands as the cup is held, a grounding sensation. The process itself was mindful, a ritual in itself. The grinding of the beans, a rhythmic action, perhaps accompanied by the murmured prayers. The careful measuring of water, heated over a slow fire, the attention paid to the subtle changes in its hue as it warmed. The slow, deliberate pouring of the water over the grounds, a meditation in itself, each movement precise and intentional. This preparation wasn't hurried. It was a form of prayer, a pathway to centering oneself before beginning the deeper work of spiritual practice. Once brewed, the coffee wasn't gulped down hastily. It was savored, sipped slowly, almost reverently. Each sip was a pause, a moment to breathe, to settle the mind, to quiet the incessant chatter of the day. The gentle warmth of the coffee, the subtle bitterness, the rich aroma, all these elements worked together to create a space for introspection. The Sufi mystics sought union with the divine, a merging of the individual self with the universal consciousness, and this quiet preparation and consumption of coffee became a small but significant part of that journey. Imagine the monks, seated in quiet contemplation, the cup cradled in their hands, their minds not racing, but settled, focused. The coffee, neither distracting nor overwhelming, served merely a gentle companion, a subtle aid in the pursuit of spiritual understanding. It wasn't a facilitator, allowing them to be more present, more receptive, more open to the quiet whispers of the divine within. In the heart of the Sufi monastery, coffee wasn't simply a beverage. It was a sacred offering, a gentle reminder of the interconnectedness of all things, a tool for drawing closer to the heart of existence. And as you drift off to sleep, perhaps you can feel a similar stillness, a quiet peace in the gentle rhythm of your own breathing. Picture bustling marketplaces and the soft murmur of conversation in the first coffee houses of the Arabian Peninsula. The scent of roasting beans, rich and earthy, mingled with the spices of 1,000 trades. Imagine yourself there, perhaps in the 15th century, the sun dipping low, casting long shadows across the dusty streets of Mocha or Aden. The air is warm, carrying the gentle hum of 1,000 voices, a soothing lullaby in the twilight. You might find yourself drawn to a small, unassuming building, its walls adorned with intricately woven tapestries. Inside, the air is thick with the aroma of freshly brewed coffee, a comforting warmth that settles over you like a soft blanket. Low tables are scattered about, each surrounded by groups of men, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of oil lamps. Some are engaged in lively debates, their voices rising and falling in animated discussion, while others sit quietly, lost in contemplation, a steaming cup cradled in their hands. The rhythmic clinking of small cups, the gentle gurgle of water being poured, create a gentle, repetitive soundtrack to your evening. It's a comforting sound, a familiar rhythm that helps to ease the mind and lull you towards tranquility. The conversations you overhear are hushed, yet full of life. Perhaps you hear tales of distant lands, of daring voyages across the seas, of exotic spices and rare treasures. Or maybe it's the murmur of poets reciting verses, their words weaving captivating stories that transport you to another time and place. Each sip of coffee is a moment of quiet contemplation. The bitter yet warming brew serves not just as a beverage, but as a catalyst for connection. In these coffee houses, social barriers melt away, allowing for the free exchange of ideas and the forging of unlikely friendships. Scholars gather to discuss philosophy and religion, merchants to negotiate deals, and storytellers to share their tales. The coffee house becomes a hub of activity, a vibrant center of the community, where the day's events unfold and the future is shaped.
As the night deepens, the conversations gradually quieten. The lamps cast a softer glow, their light dancing across the faces of the weary patrons. The air is still thick with the comforting aroma of coffee, a lingering warmth that soothes the soul. Slowly, one by one, the patrons rise, their steps light and their minds filled with the day's experiences and the anticipation of tomorrow. The rhythmic clinking of cups fades, replaced by the gentle sounds of the night, the soft breeze rustling through the nearby palm trees, the distant murmur of the city slowly drifting off to sleep. And you, nestled within this comforting atmosphere, feel a sense of quiet peace settling over you, preparing you for a restful slumber. The gentle hum of the Arabian night, a peaceful lullaby to carry you away.
Imagine, if you will, the scent of roasted beans, a warm, earthy aroma carried on the gentle desert winds. This is the story of coffee's journey, a slow, deliberate unfolding across the Middle East, a tale whispered from one bustling marketplace to another. It begins, as many tales do, in humble beginnings, in the highlands of Ethiopia, where the story of coffee's discovery is itself a legend, a tale of a goatherd and his unusually energetic flock. But our story picks up much later, as the knowledge of this invigorating brew begins its eastward drift. Picture yourself in a 16th century Yemeni port, the sun dipping low over the Red Sea, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold. Here, in Mocha, a city already renowned for its spices and trade, the first coffee houses began to appear, quiet havens where merchants, scholars, and storytellers gathered. The rich, dark liquid was more than just a drink. It was a catalyst for conversation, a shared experience that bound people together in a communal space. The rhythmic clinking of tiny cups, the low murmur of voices, the shared warmth of the brew, these became the sounds of a growing culture. From Yemen, the story of coffee spread like a gentle ripple across the Arabian Peninsula. Imagine the caravans, their camels laden with sacks of precious beans, slowly making their way across the vast, undulating landscape. Each stop along the way, a small oasis, a bustling city, became a new chapter in coffee's story. The beans, carefully roasted and ground, were a welcome gift, a symbol of hospitality and friendship, a way to forge connections between disparate communities. Tales of this exotic beverage, of its stimulating properties and its social significance, traveled alongside the beans themselves, weaving their way into the very fabric of daily life. The Ottoman Empire, a vast and powerful force, played a crucial role in coffee's continued expansion. As the empire flourished, so too did the popularity of coffee. Imagine the bustling souks of Istanbul, Constantinople at the time, overflowing with the aroma of roasting beans, the call to prayer echoing across the city as the aroma of coffee blends with the scent of spices and incense, creating a unique and enchanting atmosphere. Coffee houses, or kavehane, became centers of social life, places for intellectual discussions, political debates, and artistic expression. The seeds of coffee culture, planted in Yemen, had taken root and were steadily growing, spreading across the Middle East, carried not only by traders and merchants, but also by pilgrims, travelers, and those seeking knowledge and experience. Every cup shared was a tiny act of cultural exchange, a quiet testament to the interconnectedness of the world.
It was a slow, deliberate journey, a progression built on shared moments, quiet conversations, and the steady rhythm of the coffee trade, winding its way across the landscape, each city, each village adding its own unique flavor to the evolving tale. And as the stars filled the night sky above the Arabian deserts, the aroma of coffee hung in the air, a fragrant reminder of the journey and the stories it carried.
Imagine the year is 1500. The salty air hangs heavy over the bustling port of Constantinople, a city shimmering with the gold of the Byzantine Empire's fading glory, yet vibrant with the energy of a new world connecting east and west. Ships laden with silks and spices from distant lands crowd the harbor, their masts a forest of wood against the turquoise sky. Amongst the merchants haggling over prices, a new aroma begins to drift. A rich, earthy fragrance, unlike anything experienced before. It's the scent of coffee, slowly making its way across the vast expanse of the Ottoman Empire, from its origins in the highlands of Ethiopia and Yemen. At first, it's a quiet introduction. A few curious souls, perhaps learned scholars or wealthy travelers returning from distant lands, sip the dark brew in hushed corners of the city's many coffee houses, small, intimate spaces where conversation flows as freely as the steaming liquid. These early coffee houses aren't just places to drink. They become centers of intellectual exchange, hushed debates replacing the boisterous chatter of the marketplace outside. Here, poets share verses, philosophers discuss ideas, and stories whisper from one patron to the next, carried on the aromatic steam. The slow, rhythmic drip of the coffee brewing becomes a soothing soundtrack to the city's nightly life. Slowly, the quiet hum of appreciation grows into a murmur, then a sustained melody. Word of this invigorating drink, this wine of Araby, as some call it, spreads through the tightly knit networks of merchants and travelers. The rich, dark brew promises not just warmth against the chill of a Constantinople evening, but a newfound clarity of mind and an energetic lift to the spirit, a welcome companion in the long hours of work and contemplation. More coffee houses bloom like fragrant blossoms across the city. The rhythmic clinking of cups and the murmur of contented conversation become a familiar soundscape, weaving themselves into the fabric of daily life. News travels, as it always does, along the well-trodden trade routes. And it doesn't take long before the scent of coffee drifts across the Adriatic Sea, reaching the opulent canals of Venice. Here, too, the brew is initially embraced by the city's elite, the wealthy merchants and powerful nobles who control the flow of goods and ideas into Europe. The exotic drink quickly becomes a symbol of sophistication and refinement, adding a new dimension to the elaborate social gatherings and lively conversations that fill the palazzos. The very act of drinking coffee, with its ritualistic preparation and slow, deliberate sipping, becomes a performance of elegance. But, as in Constantinople, the popularity of coffee in Venice grows organically. Small coffee houses, much like their counterparts in the East, begin to appear, offering their potent brew to a wider segment of the population. These new gathering spaces become places for all sorts of people: sailors recounting their voyages, artisans discussing their crafts, and scholars trading theories. The rhythmic clinking of cups, once a quiet sound in a single establishment, now echoes through the city's winding streets, a harmonious counterpoint to the gentle lapping of the waves against the palazzo walls. The scent of coffee, once foreign and exotic, becomes a familiar and comforting aroma, gently weaving itself into the very soul of the city, and, slowly, into the very rhythm of European life. The warmth of the brew, like the warmth of a shared story, slowly spreads, changing the pace of life, one cup at a time. Imagine the warm glow of candlelight spilling across polished wooden tables, the gentle hiss of a simmering pot, the low murmur of conversation weaving through the air. This is a 17th century coffee house, a haven in the bustling city streets. The aroma of roasted beans, rich and earthy, mingles with the scent of pipe tobacco and damp wool. Outside, the chill wind whispers against the glass panes, but within these walls a different kind of warmth thrives, a warmth of shared ideas and lively debate. You might picture yourself settling into a worn leather chair, a steaming cup warming your hands. Around you, a tapestry of humanity unfolds. A merchant in a fine velvet coat leans forward, earnestly discussing trade routes with a scholarly gentleman in spectacles. Nearby, a group of artists exchange sketches and whispered critiques, their faces illuminated by the flickering candlelight. A young woman, perhaps a writer or a poet, sits alone, lost in her thoughts, a quill poised above a well-worn notebook. Each person a unique thread in the rich fabric of this social gathering. The coffee house wasn't just a place to drink a stimulating beverage. It was a living room for the city, a place where the boundaries between social classes blurred. It was a space for the exchange of information, the germination of ideas, and the forging of alliances. News traveled quickly through these rooms, whispered from ear to ear, spreading like ripples across a still pond. The latest political events, scientific discoveries, and artistic movements were all eagerly discussed, dissected, and debated. These weren't simply idle conversations. Within the smoky haze and the murmur of voices, revolutions brewed. Revolutionary pamphlets, carefully printed and secretly circulated, found their way into these spaces, their words fueling the flames of discontent. The coffee house became a crucial meeting place for those who yearned for change, a safe space to plot, to plan, and to organize. Secret societies exchanged coded messages over steaming cups. Dissident writers anonymously shared their provocative ideas, and intellectuals shaped public opinion with carefully crafted words. Picture a scene, a quiet corner, two figures hunched over a chessboard, their movements slow and deliberate, each move a carefully considered strategy mirroring the larger political games being played outside. The clinking of coins as a wager is placed, a silent acknowledgement of the high stakes involved. Across the room, a group passionately argues about the very nature of freedom and governance, their words sharp and incisive, their voices rising above the general hum. These coffee houses were centers of enlightenment, crucibles where ideas clashed and new philosophies were born. They fostered a culture of intellectual curiosity and freedom of expression, laying the groundwork for many of the social and political changes that would shape the world to come. And as you drift off to sleep, let the warm glow of those candle-lit spaces linger in your mind, a reminder of the power of conversation and the transformative potential of shared ideas. The gentle hum of those voices fades now, replaced by the quiet rhythm of your breath, as you journey into the peaceful embrace of sleep. Imagine yourself, if you will, transported back in time. The year is 1750. The air hangs heavy with the scent of wood smoke, and something else, something subtly aromatic, a warm, inviting fragrance that weaves its way through the cobbled streets and into the dimly lit coffee houses of Europe. This is the scent of coffee, the gentle stimulant that fueled a revolution not of arms, but of minds. The Enlightenment, they called it, a time of questioning, of reason, of challenging long-held beliefs. And at the heart of this intellectual ferment, nestled amongst the flickering candlelight and the murmur of conversation, were the coffee houses. Think of them not as bustling marketplaces, but as quiet havens, places where the weight of the day could gently melt away, replaced by the comforting warmth of a steaming cup and the shared pursuit of knowledge. Picture a young woman, perhaps a writer, carefully stirring her brew, her quill pen poised over a half-written manuscript. The words flow easier with each sip, the coffee a gentle companion in the solitary act of creation. Around her, others engage in hushed debates, their voices low and thoughtful, punctuated by the clinking of porcelain cups and the soft rustle of pages. A philosopher, his brow furrowed in concentration, engages a learned gentleman in a discussion of natural rights. Their words carefully chosen, each point meticulously considered. The coffee doesn't force their thoughts, it simply helps to guide them, making the flow of ideas as smooth and effortless as the liquid itself. These weren't places of boisterous argument, but rather sanctuaries of intellectual curiosity. The aroma of coffee, rich and inviting, acted as a subtle facilitator, encouraging a sense of calm and focused discussion. It wasn't about winning an argument, but about exploring ideas, challenging assumptions, and slowly, deliberately expanding the boundaries of human understanding. Across Europe, these coffee houses sprang up like beacons of reason, illuminated by the glow of countless candles and the shared pursuit of enlightenment. In Paris, the air buzzed with the latest scientific discoveries, debated amongst learned professors and curious onlookers. In London, the scent of coffee mingled with the scent of books, as writers and poets gathered, their imaginations fueled by the stimulating brew. Even in the smaller towns, coffee houses became vital centers for community and intellectual exchange, fostering a sense of shared purpose and a collective yearning for progress. The coffee itself wasn't just a drink, it represented a break from tradition, a willingness to embrace new ideas and new ways of thinking. It was a facilitator of open discourse, a lubricant for the wheels of intellectual progress. And as you drift off to sleep, let the gentle aroma of that 18th century coffee house linger in your mind, a reminder of the power of quiet contemplation, the beauty of shared learning, and the slow, steady burn of intellectual curiosity that changed the world. Let its calming warmth soothe you into a peaceful slumber. Now, as the evening settles in, let's drift gently towards the story of coffee. Imagine, if you will, a small, dark bean, roasted to a rich brown, the aroma filling the air. This unassuming seed holds within it the history of empires and the whispers of countless lives. We'll gently explore the complex relationship between coffee, colonialism, and the global trade that shaped economies and cultures across the world. Picture the highlands of Ethiopia, where legend speaks of a goat herd, Kaldi, noticing his goats behaving unusually lively after eating the berries of a certain tree. This, some say, is where it all began, the discovery of coffee's invigorating properties. From those humble beginnings, coffee slowly made its way, carried by traders and pilgrims across the Arabian Peninsula, becoming a treasured beverage in bustling marketplaces and quiet corners of mosques. But the journey didn't stop there. As coffee's popularity grew, so did the desire to control its production and trade. European powers, ever seeking new resources and markets, cast their eyes on the coffee bean. This is where the story takes a turn, intertwining with the bittersweet threads of colonialism. The Dutch, known for their maritime prowess and entrepreneurial spirit, were among the first to cultivate coffee outside of its native lands. They established plantations in their colonies in places like Indonesia, carefully transplanting the coffee plants and meticulously nurturing their growth. This marked the beginning of a global coffee trade, a network of ships crisscrossing oceans carrying sacks of beans to eager consumers in Europe and beyond. The story, however, is not simply one of successful cultivation. The expansion of coffee plantations often came at a great cost. Indigenous populations were displaced from their lands, forced to work under harsh conditions, their traditional ways of life disrupted by the demands of a booming international market. In many places, coffee production became intrinsically linked to systems of slavery and exploitation, leaving a legacy that continues to resonate today. Think of the vast plantations in the Americas, from the Caribbean islands to Brazil, where enslaved Africans toiled under the scorching sun, cultivating the beans that fueled the economies of European powers. Their contributions remain largely untold, their labor forming the very foundation of the global coffee trade we know today. The aroma of coffee, then, carries with it a complex history, a fragrant blend of both pleasure and pain. The seeds of those beans, transported across continents, spurred economic growth in some places, while simultaneously leading to devastating social and environmental consequences in others. The complexities of this global trade unfolded slowly, a ripple effect across centuries, shaping nations, influencing culture, and leaving behind an enduring legacy that we still grapple with today. As you drift off to sleep, let this story of coffee, a brew of triumph and hardship, gently lull you into peaceful slumber. Let the scent of imaginary coffee linger in the air, a reminder of a rich and layered past. Picture vast coffee plantations in the Americas, a slow, steady growth that transformed landscapes and livelihoods. Imagine the journey, beginning far away in the highlands of Arabia. There, nestled amongst ancient shrubs and fragrant blossoms, the coffee plant first thrived, its beans carefully harvested and meticulously roasted, a secret pleasure enjoyed by a few. But secrets, like the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee, are hard to keep. Slowly, carefully, the seeds of the coffee plant began their own travels. They journeyed across the Red Sea, carried on ships that braved the winds and waves, destined for new lands. Yemen, then Ethiopia, felt the subtle shift as small coffee farms grew into larger estates, the demand steadily increasing. The rich, dark brew, once a rarity, began to spread its comforting warmth. The next chapter unfolds in the fertile lands of the Americas. Imagine the explorers, their ships laden not only with spices and fabrics, but with precious coffee seeds, a valuable cargo destined to change the world. They carried with them not only the beans, but the knowledge, the traditions, the careful cultivation that had been honed over centuries in the Old World. First in the Caribbean, then Central and South America, the coffee plant took root. It wasn't an explosive event, but a gentle, persistent expansion. Small plots of land were transformed, the landscape slowly but surely changing. Imagine the rhythmic sounds of planting, the careful tending, the patient waiting for the cherries to ripen, their vibrant red a promise of the dark brew to come. The hillsides, once covered in other vegetation, gradually adopted the uniform rows of coffee plants, each a vital thread in the slowly weaving tapestry of the plantation. The sun warmed the leaves, the rain nourished the roots, and the hands of countless workers carefully tended to each plant, a shared connection to the land and the growing commodity. Life revolved around the coffee plant. Families settled near the plantations, their lives intertwined with the rhythm of the harvests. The scent of roasting beans filled the air, a comforting aroma that spoke of industry and community, of shared labor and shared prosperity. The coffee trade brought economic change, slowly but surely shaping societies and connecting people across vast distances. Each cup of coffee consumed, a silent testament to this slow, steady growth, to the journey of the plant, the dedication of the workers, and the transformation of landscapes. The plantation's gentle rise created a new world, one deeply connected to the aroma of coffee beans, a legacy stretching from the ancient hills of Arabia to the expansive fields of the Americas. As you drift off to sleep, let the scent of coffee, imagined rather than real, lull you into peaceful slumber. Let the quiet story of its journey soothe your mind and bring you calm. Let's take a calm, contemplative journey through diverse coffee brewing methods and traditions from around the globe. Imagine yourself nestled in a cozy armchair, the soft glow of a lamp casting gentle shadows. The scent of freshly brewed coffee hangs in the air, a comforting aroma that whispers tales of faraway lands. In the highlands of Ethiopia, the birthplace of coffee, you might find yourself witnessing a traditional jabena ceremony. The jabena, a clay pot with a round body and a long, slender spout, sits atop a bed of embers. Slowly, deliberately, the rich, dark coffee brews, its scent mingling with the earthy fragrance of the surrounding landscape. The coffee, strong and robust, is poured 3 times, each serving a little lighter than the last, a ritual as old as the hills themselves. You sip slowly, feeling the warmth spread through you, a connection to ancient traditions. Travel westward, and you find yourself in the bustling souks of Yemen. Here, coffee is more than a beverage, it's a social experience. The kahwa, a strong, intensely aromatic brew, is prepared in a special pot called a dal, often over charcoal. The coffee is served in small, delicate cups, passed from hand to hand, a symbol of hospitality and shared moments. You feel the warmth of the community, the rhythm of conversation blending with the gentle hiss of the dal. Across the Red Sea, in the vibrant streets of Turkey, the chezve, a small, long-handled pot, sings its own story. Finely ground coffee simmers gently in the chezve, the fragrant steam rising like a mystical cloud. The coffee, thick and rich, is often served in small tulip-shaped glasses, sometimes sweetened with sugar or flavored with cardamom. You imagine yourself in a bustling cafe, the clinking of glasses, a soft melody accompanying the murmur of conversations. Further west, in Vienna, a city steeped in history and elegance, the coffee house tradition unfolds. Here, coffee is more than just a drink, it's a way of life. You might find yourself indulging in a melange, a Viennese coffee with a dollop of foamed milk, or an Einspänner, a coffee topped with a thick layer of whipped cream. The atmosphere is one of quiet contemplation, the gentle clinking of porcelain, a soothing counterpoint to the quiet hum of conversation. The warmth of the coffee, the elegance of the surroundings, it's a deeply satisfying experience. Journey south to the heart of Latin America. Imagine yourself in a small village, perhaps in Colombia or Brazil, where the coffee beans are grown with painstaking care. Here, you might encounter a simpler, more rustic method of brewing, perhaps filtering the coffee through a cloth. The resulting brew strong and full of the rich flavor of the beans. You savor the taste, recognizing the deep connection between the land, the people, and the coffee itself. Finally, picture yourself back home, with your own preferred method of brewing, whether it's a French press, a drip coffee maker, or the simple elegance of a pour-over. The ritual remains the same. A moment of quiet contemplation, a chance to savor the rich flavors and aromas, a connection to a global tradition that has spanned centuries. Let the warmth of the coffee wash over you as you drift off into a peaceful slumber. Imagine, if you will, a time long ago when the mere sip of coffee was a privilege, a luxury reserved for the wealthiest among us. Picture grand estates, opulent mansions filled with the aroma of freshly brewed beans, a scent only the aristocracy could afford. This was the early days of coffee's journey, a journey that started far away, in lands bathed in the warmth of the sun, and eventually found its way to the grand halls of Europe. There, in those elegant settings, coffee was more than just a drink. It was a symbol of status, a marker of one's place in society. It was served in exquisite porcelain cups, the delicate china a testament to the wealth and refinement of its drinkers. Conversations, whispered secrets, and important deals were sealed over steaming cups, the bitter yet enticing brew a silent witness to the power dynamics of the age. But as the years drifted by, like leaves falling gently to the earth in autumn, coffee's reach began to extend. Slowly, gradually, it moved beyond the confines of the elite, making its way into the lives of ordinary people. Trade routes expanded, ships laden with precious cargo sailing across oceans, bringing with them the dark, rich beans that would soon transform the everyday lives of countless individuals. The price, once prohibitively high, started to ease, becoming accessible to a growing middle class. Coffee houses, initially exclusive gathering spots for the affluent, started popping up in bustling city centers, welcoming all who sought their warmth and the comforting scent of freshly brewed coffee. These new coffee houses became vibrant hubs of social interaction, places where artists, writers, and thinkers would gather to exchange ideas, to debate philosophies, and to share stories. The simple act of sharing a cup of coffee became a powerful symbol of connection, a common thread that wove together diverse communities. It was in these humble establishments that revolutionary ideas began to brew, stirring minds and fostering a sense of shared identity. The quiet murmur of conversations, the clinking of cups, the gentle hiss of steam, all formed a comforting soundtrack to the social and political changes that were shaping the world. The democratization of coffee was a slow but steady process, one that mirrored the broader societal shifts taking place at the time. As more people gained access to this once exclusive beverage, it became integrated into the fabric of daily life. From the bustling marketplaces to the quiet corners of homes, the aroma of coffee became a familiar and comforting presence, a constant reminder of the changing times. It was no longer just a drink for the elite, but a shared experience, a source of comfort and connection for all. And as you drift off to sleep tonight, let the comforting image of a shared cup of coffee, a symbol of community and connection, lull you into a peaceful slumber. Imagine the gradual mechanization of coffee production, the quiet hum of machinery transforming the way we consume this global drink. Picture, if you will, a small family-run coffee plantation in the highlands of Brazil, perhaps a century and a half ago. The work was largely done by hand, a slow, deliberate process. Each bean carefully picked, meticulously sorted, and then meticulously roasted over open fires. The scent of roasting coffee beans a comforting presence in the cool mountain air. The entire process, from bean to cup, was intimately connected to the land, to the rhythm of the seasons, and to the rhythms of family life. Then, slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, things began to change. New inventions appeared, whispers of progress on the wind. A simple machine to hull the beans more efficiently replaced the laborious manual process, saving time and effort. The quiet rhythm of hand grinding faded as larger mills began to appear, their gears turning steadily, grinding mountains of beans into a fine powder with a consistent, humming sound. The aroma, once localized to the small roasting fires, now filled larger spaces, the scent of coffee expanding with the reach of the new technology. Think of the steam-powered roasters, their gentle hiss a constant companion to the workers. No longer was the roasting process dependent on the unpredictable nature of open flames. These new machines offered greater control, allowing for a more consistent roast and therefore a more consistent flavor profile. This consistency, a seemingly small detail, was revolutionary. It meant that the coffee you drank in Rio was much the same as the coffee enjoyed in London or New York, a feat unthinkable only a few decades earlier. The quiet hum of the machinery became a symbol of a new era. This wasn't just about efficiency, it was about scalability. The machinery allowed for a dramatic increase in coffee production. More beans could be processed, more coffee could be roasted, and more people could enjoy the rich, dark brew. The impact was felt across the globe. Coffee, once a luxury, became progressively more accessible to the masses. This increased production wasn't without its challenges. The reliance on large-scale machinery often meant a shift away from the smaller family-run farms, a gradual displacement of traditional practices. The new mechanized processes also brought with them new concerns about labor conditions and the environmental impact of large-scale farming. Yet the quiet hum of the machines was a testament to human ingenuity, a constant reminder of our ability to shape our environment and our consumption habits. As you drift off to sleep, let the gentle hum of those imagined machines lull you into a peaceful slumber, a comforting soundtrack to the long and fascinating story of coffee's journey to your cup. The story continues, even now, as technology continues its quiet evolution, constantly shaping the way we experience and appreciate this beloved beverage. Rest now, and dream of the fragrant steam and the gentle whir of machinery, the quiet hum of progress. As the world moved into the 20th century, coffee remained a constant, a comforting ritual in bustling cities and quiet homes alike. Think of the smoky cafés of Paris, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee mingling with the scent of rain on cobblestones. It was a place for artists, writers, and thinkers, a quiet hum of conversation and the clinking of cups. The simple pleasure of a hot cup of coffee became intertwined with daily life, a familiar comfort in changing times. Then, slowly, something shifted. The post-war boom brought with it a desire for new experiences, a yearning for something more than the mass-produced blends that had dominated the market for so long. This desire blossomed into the specialty coffee movement. Imagine, if you will, a small independent coffee shop, maybe tucked away on a quiet street. The air is filled not with the harsh smell of instant coffee, but with the delicate, nuanced aromas of freshly roasted beans. Ethiopian yerga chefe, perhaps, with its bright citrus notes, or a rich Sumatran mandaling, dark and earthy. These weren't your grandfather's coffee beans. They were carefully sourced, meticulously roasted, and brewed with a precision that elevated the simple act of making coffee into an art form. Baristas, skilled artisans of the coffee world, emerged, their movements precise and deliberate as they crafted lattes with velvety microfoam and poured perfectly balanced pour-overs. This wasn't just about the caffeine kick, it was about the experience, the ritual, the appreciation of a carefully cultivated bean's unique character. The rise of specialty coffee wasn't just confined to small independent shops. It infiltrated larger chains too, pushing them to elevate their standards and offer a wider variety of higher quality beans. Suddenly, coffee wasn't just something you grabbed on your way to work. It was a moment of contemplation, a small luxury in a busy day. This careful attention to detail extended beyond the roasting and brewing process. Consumers became more discerning, more curious about the origins of their beans, the farming practices, and the people who cultivated them. Fair trade coffee gained prominence, reflecting a growing awareness of ethical sourcing and sustainable practices. We began to appreciate the human story behind every cup, the farmers who nurtured the beans from seed to harvest. The 21st century saw the continued growth of this specialty coffee culture, alongside a simultaneous embrace of technology. The Internet brought a world of coffee knowledge to our fingertips. We could explore different brewing methods, learn about various coffee origins, and connect with other coffee lovers from around the globe. Apps tracked our caffeine intake, smart coffee makers brewed our coffee at the touch of a button, and subscription services delivered freshly roasted beans right to our doorstep. Yet, despite all the technological advances, the fundamental elements remained. The warm embrace of a comforting mug, the aromatic steam rising on a chilly morning, the simple pleasure of a well-brewed cup of coffee. It's a connection to something ancient and familiar, intertwined with modern innovation. As you drift off to sleep, perhaps you can imagine the gentle aroma of freshly brewed coffee, a quiet moment of peace before the dawn of a new day. Let the warmth of that image lull you into a restful slumber.
Imagine, if you will, a single coffee bean, dark and glistening, holding within it the potential for warmth and comfort. It's a small thing, really, but packed with complex chemistry, a quiet symphony of molecules just waiting to be awakened. The journey from bean to brew is a gentle unfolding, a slow transformation guided by the careful hands of those who understand its secrets. First, consider the roasting process.
Dry beans, initially quite brittle, are exposed to carefully controlled heat. This isn't just about browning, it's a precise dance with temperature and time. As the heat penetrates, chemical reactions begin, a subtle shift in the bean's internal structure. Sugars caramelize, creating the rich, sweet notes you might savor in a dark roast. Acids transform, their intensity mellowing or sharpening depending on the roast's duration. Essential oils, volatile compounds that contribute so much to the aroma, begin to develop, their delicate fragrances slowly escaping into the air. This is a delicate process. Under roast, and the bean remains underdeveloped, its full potential unrealized. Over roast, and the flavors become bitter, the essential oils burned away, leaving behind an ashy taste. Next comes grinding, a simple act perhaps, but crucial. Too coarse a grind, and the water will rush through, failing to extract the full depth of flavor. Too fine, and the water will become choked, producing a bitter, over-extracted brew. The perfect grind allows the water to fully interact with the bean's surface area, coaxing out all those carefully developed flavors and aromas. And then the water itself. Pure, clean water is essential. The minerals within it play a role, influencing the final taste. The temperature is equally crucial. Too hot, and the water will scorch the grounds, yielding a bitter brew. Too cold, and the extraction will be incomplete, resulting in a weak, sour cup. The ideal temperature is a gentle embrace, unlocking the bean's secrets without forcing the issue. Picture the water, now warmed to the precise degree, gently cascading over the grounds. This is where the magic truly happens, a slow, deliberate extraction. The water interacts with the bean's components, dissolving the soluble compounds, the sugars, acids, and caffeine, creating a rich, complex solution. The oils and volatile compounds, released during the roasting process, now contribute to the aroma, their fragrant whispers filling the air. The final cup is a testament to this careful process. Each sip is a journey through a world of subtle flavors and aromas. The sweet notes of caramel, the gentle tartness of the acids, the comforting warmth of the caffeine, all harmoniously blended. It's a reminder that even the simplest pleasures, like a perfect cup of coffee, contain a hidden depth, a subtle science waiting to be appreciated. Let the quiet satisfaction of a well-crafted brew lull you into a peaceful slumber. Let the gentle rhythm of the brewing process soothe your mind, and drift off now into the quiet comfort of a well-deserved rest. We'll conclude our journey with a contemplative look at coffee's enduring presence in our modern world, a global drink that unites us all. Imagine, if you will, the quiet hum of a bustling cafe in a faraway city. The scent of roasted beans, rich and warm, hangs heavy in the air, a comforting blanket against the chill of the morning. People from all walks of life gather there, each with their own story, their own reason for seeking the solace of a steaming cup. A young woman, perhaps a student cramming for exams, carefully sips her latte, the creamy foam a comforting contrast to the intensity of her studies. Beside her, an older gentleman, his newspaper folded neatly beside his cup, savors the bitter strength of his espresso, a ritual as familiar as the rising sun. Across the room, a couple shares a quiet moment, their mugs steaming gently between them, their conversation a soft murmur in the background. This simple act, this shared experience of a warm beverage, transcends language and culture.
The coffee bean, a tiny seed cultivated in diverse regions across the globe, connects us in a way few other things can. From the sun-drenched hillsides of Ethiopia, where coffee's story began, to the lush plantations of Brazil and Colombia, to the vibrant coffee houses of Vienna and Istanbul, the journey of this humble bean has shaped civilizations and cultures for centuries. Think of the farmers who toil under the sun, nurturing the delicate plants, their hands stained brown from the rich earth. Think of the workers who process the beans, their movements precise and practiced, the scent of roasting filling the air around them. Think of the baristas who craft each cup with care, their skills honed over years of practice, creating a symphony of flavors and textures. Every sip tells a story, a tale woven from the threads of history, geography, and human endeavor. It speaks of trade routes and colonial empires, of bustling marketplaces and quiet moments of reflection. It whispers of shared traditions and cultural exchanges, a global conversation carried on the steam of a simple cup of coffee. And as you drift off to sleep tonight, perhaps you'll envision yourself in one of those cafes, a warm cup in your hands. Maybe you'll see yourself in the faces of those around you, united not by language or nationality, but by the shared pleasure of this timeless beverage. The aroma of coffee, faint and distant, lingers in your mind, a comforting reminder of our shared human experience, a gentle invitation to rest and dream. Let the warmth of the coffee, the quiet murmur of conversation, and the gentle rhythm of everyday life lull you into a peaceful and restful sleep. Sweet dreams.
The year is 1675. Imagine, if you will, a quiet street in London. The gas lamps haven't been invented yet, of course, but the moon hangs heavy in the inky sky, casting long shadows down narrow cobblestone lanes. A gentle fog, like a soft blanket, drapes over the city. Inside a small, dimly lit coffee house, a lone figure sits, nursing a warm cup. The steam rises, curling lazily into the air, carrying with it the rich, earthy aroma of freshly brewed coffee. This wasn't just any drink, it was a small rebellion, a quiet moment of solace in a bustling, often chaotic world. Coffee, you see, was relatively new to Europe then. It was exotic, intriguing, whispered about in hushed tones. Some saw it as a dangerous stimulant, others as a gift from a distant land. But for this lone figure, it was simply a comfort. He sips slowly, the warmth spreading through him, chasing away the chill of the night. He thinks of the long day behind him, the people he's met, the conversations he shared. The coffee, rich and dark, grounds him. It's a gentle anchor in the tide of his life. The clinking of mugs, the murmur of low conversation from other patrons fade into the background, becoming a soft, indistinct hum. It's the kind of quiet hum that blends seamlessly with the rhythm of your own breath. The figure, lost in his own thoughts, feels the tension slowly melt away. The worries of the day, once sharp and insistent, now drift off like wisps of steam lost in the night air. His breathing deepens, becoming slower, more rhythmic. Outside, the wind whispers softly through the narrow streets. A distant church bell tolls, a gentle chime that echoes the slow, steady beat of his heart. He feels the warmth of the coffee spreading through him, a soothing warmth that settles deep within his bones. It's a peaceful warmth, a comfortable warmth that encourages relaxation. The cup in his hands is almost empty now, the last few drops lingering, like precious memories. He sets the cup down, the silence of the night settling around him like a comforting shroud. He closes his eyes, the scent of coffee still lingering in the air, a pleasant reminder of the simple pleasures of life. He feels the soft texture of the worn wooden chair beneath him, a reassuring solidity in the stillness of the night. The sounds of the city continue to fade further, replaced by the gentle, rhythmic pulse of his own heartbeat, the slow, steady in and out of his breath. He drifts further and further into a state of peaceful slumber. He is not alone. You are with him now, sharing this quiet moment, this gentle descent into sleep. The aroma of coffee, a whisper of the past, a subtle warmth enveloping you, allowing your mind to slow, your body to relax. The world outside fades, and all that remains is the soft rhythm of your breath, the gentle beat of your heart, and the quiet peace of the night. Let the warmth of that imaginary coffee cup flow through you, easing you towards sleep. Let go of the day's worries and allow the tranquility of the night to wash over you. Breathe in, breathe out. Good night.